Welcome to the Advanced Custom Video Training Series on SQL Server 2008. My name is Chester Flake. In this video, we're going to see how the new DateTime data types work, and we're going to take a look at this international art brokerage with offices in London, New York, and Seattle. As this company acquires art to sell, it places it in this acquired asset table, and here's the schema for this thing. You have the asset ID, which is the primary key, and the asset name of variable character length, and asset type is variable character, as well as the acquiring office is variable character. Where we have an interest is in these last four fields. The acquired date time as a DateTime data type. The published date here is a character data type. The available date is a DateTime data type, and the play length is float. Since the company could be selling art before 1753, it has to use the variable character length for the published date, obviously because the DateTime data type as it exists in 2005 doesn't support this. Since this is a variable character field, or in this case we just used the character field, the stored procedure that inserts the data into the table doesn't return an error if this is not a date or a null value. What the brokerage would like to be able to do is to use a date column that stores either dates or null values and then strictly enforces that idea. They also produce and sell videos for showcasing some of the art that they have for sale. They need to store the play length for each of the videos in the database. In order to store these video lengths, the brokerage needs to use the float value to be able to store the length in seconds. When they get ready to display the data to the customers, the brokerage has to always remember to convert the value from seconds to minutes using an algorithm, which can also sometimes cause problems. Ideally, what they want to go after is to be able to store this data as an actual time value and not have to worry about performing conversion. Also, the application with user base that spreads across time zones has to be careful to translate the dates into a single time zone such as GMT when updating the database, and there is always a chance the application can misinterpret the date value. It'd be more natural, and it would provide better flexibility for the brokerage if they could enhance the acquired date time column with the specific time zone information. Also, the available date, which is stored as the DateTime data type, has a problem here. The column's intended just to contain the date, sort of like a birth date column. However, since this is a date time field, you could have a rogue application that could inadvertently include the time portion, and that can lead to issues when attempting to query the data. Let's go ahead and execute this code and take a look at the stored procedure. It does the exact same things, makes the calls to the column. There's the insert and the values explicitly declared. And now let's take a look at the actual call to the stored procedure and some of the records that are coming in. And then we'll take a look at the table. Here is the execution of the user stored procedure for the paintings in London and the books in New York, and then the videos in Seattle. And you'll notice the concerns that we have here. Only the videos have the time stamp, and of course we see the dates, 1741 right there. Some of these dates, again, before the DateTime data type would be able to support it. So let's execute this, and then let's take a look at the resulting table. As far as the table goes, we're not going to notice a big transition here in this Windows desktop application that we have. One thing to notice, of course, is asset number 5 right here has this published date of 1725. You notice the play lengths here are measured in seconds. So there are some things for us to clean up in this scenario. So to address these problems, let's see what happens when the brokerage migrates this data into SQL Server 2008, where we can take advantage of these new data types. Let me move over to my next script. And here's the new table. Let's take a look at these last four columns again. Here's the acquired date time, and this is going to use the date time offset. There's a published date using date, the available date as date, and play length with time. So this is the new schema, and of course you see the new data types used here. This first data type, this date time offset, this allows you to store a time zone offset from GMT, and it also has an extended range from January 1st of the year 1 all the way up to December 31st of the year 9999. There's also a new DateTime2 type that has the same range, but it excludes the time zone offset. The new date data type has also been added to SQL Server, and this allows you to store that same range January 1st of the year 1 all the way up to 12/31/9999. That takes care of a lot of the annoyances where the time portion is inappropriate, as in cases of what I said earlier, the birth date, and when clients in different time zones from different servers may offset the stored value. So a date time value of September the 5th, 1965 on a New York server could inadvertently be changed to September the 4th, the day before, 1965, at 2100 hours because the server being in Los Angeles and the way that the formatting of the date happens with the browser client. And likewise, the new time data type stores just the time portion, and this could be the time portion of a date or a time interval. Okay, so we'll execute this new table, and then we'll move over and actually take a look at the stored procedure. Again, just using the exact same columns. There's the date time offset, the date, and the time. Let's go ahead and execute the stored procedure, and then finally move to my next piece of code where we'll actually do the insertion of the record using the new stored procedure, which in turn uses the new table. And of course you'll see all of our data entries are the same as I scroll all the way over. So let's execute this, and let's come back over and take a look at the table. So here's the acquired asset table after these new data types have been implemented. Several of the database issues that they would struggle with before have now been addressed. For example, the acquired date time column has been implemented with the date time offset, as you can see there. And this enables the company to more accurately track the assets that were acquired in the different time zones. The next one over here, the published date, as you remember in the past this was the character data type. It's now been implemented using the new date data type. Old dates can be stored natively without having to store the new dates as characters. Blank rows in the columns must now be kept as null values, which will prevent unwanted data from being inserted into the column. And then finally over here, the play length column, this gives us this new time data type, and the length of the videos can now be properly stored as minutes and hours instead of just seconds. This is a friendlier, more user-friendly way of storing the data, and the company doesn't have to worry about always converting the seconds into minutes and hours whenever they're querying the data. Thank you for watching this video series on SQL Server 2008 data types. Join us for more videos on AdvancedCustomTraining.com.